I'm Denver Marshall Lane. I am a sci-fi author, gadget addict, dreamer, bacon lover, geek, just a regular guy, I guess. I, like most of you, I'm sure, have always had a secret dream, one that I never shared with anyone. I didn't even know what it was myself. There was just always this thing inside me that I wanted. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I was afraid to dig because I knew the dream was too big for me. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. My siblings and I had to measure our cereal in the morning, quarter cup of milk in our cereal. And we were lucky to have those things, but we weren't well off, to say the least. The biggest problem with that isn't lack of things. The biggest problem with that is when you come from little, it creates a little mindset. So even though I was always told how intelligent and creative I was, there was always that little voice inside condemning me to a life much smaller than my dreams. Science and science fiction have always been my escapes since childhood. When the other kids were outside playing, I would be reading the encyclopedia. I was inspired by what I found in the encyclopedia as a little kid, which made my mom enormously happy. But I watched every sci-fi movie, read every science fiction book, every series I could get a hold of or get in front of. I ate those things up. It didn't matter how low budget or cheesy a sci-fi movie was. Even the worst science fiction movies sparked something in my imagination. To this day, on a weekly basis, I subject my wonderful wife to what we affectionately know as crappy movie night, where I will choose a sci-fi that I've never seen before, if I can find one. My wife is a saint, by the way. But I'll pick out a movie and pray that the juice is worth the squeeze. Sometimes we find hidden gems, unexpectedly good sci-fi that for some reason just didn't make it at the box office. But more often we end up laughing at horrible special effects or plots that are more about some unknown actress's boobs than about good science fiction. But even the crappiest sci-fi has value to me. Each one contains some spark of imagination, some what if that makes my mind race with possibilities. Before I found my path, I wasted years job hopping through a misspent youth filled with depression, drugs, alcohol, intermittent homelessness, failures, failed relationships. I was a truly pathetic waste of human flesh, essentially a meat sack jumping from one painkiller to another. Then a friend of mine, thank you, Troy, turned me on to some personal development tapes. If you don't know what a tape is, turn off this video. But a friend of mine turned me on to these personal development tapes, and I embraced the message wholeheartedly. It was inspiring, and I suddenly found myself not just believing, but knowing that I could be more than what I thought I was, more than what was imprinted on me by my situation as a child. The truth is that I could not have made it this far without growing my mindset. And thank you, Tony Big Teeth, you know who you are. But even with all this, I was still afraid to dream my biggest dream. You see, the world in my head has always been filled with stories, entire universes of possibility swirling around in my noggin all my life, begging to be shared. But who was I to think that I could be a science fiction author? That was for real writers. And I did try at one point many years ago. I thought at the time that you had to do things a specific way. So I took a creative writing class and I wrote a short story that made my future wife cry. My friends absolutely loved. And the plot was about the greatest story ever told. It was about a leader who made the ultimate sacrifice in order to free his people. And I thought it was beautiful. All my friends told me I should get this thing published. So I sent it off to a few editors at science fiction magazines that shot me down absolutely cold because lead characters should never sacrifice themselves. They should always be able to find a way out. So because professionals in the industry didn't feel that what I had to offer was good enough to even put in print, I didn't feel like I had anything to offer. However, at the age of 54, I still have these stories swirling around in my head. and I still have this driving need to get them out. So I did something different. I stopped thinking about getting published. I stopped thinking about whether or not the book was going to make money or anything like that. I was going to write for the joy of writing. So at the age of 54, I started writing, and I wrote nearly every night. And after 2 years, produced Threshold. It was the biggest story bumping around in my head. And so I had to get that one out. Threshold is a far future story about the nature of mankind. It explores our never ending cycle of destruction and rebirth and the greed driven destruction, and how this is going to eventually lead to our doom if we can't break that cycle, which may seem a little dark. Life is dark sometimes. As a professional marketer who's produced hundreds of thousands of leads for clients and employers and good leads that sell, I thought I knew what I was doing. I'm a good marketer. But speaking as someone who just spent 2 years writing and publishing their first sci-fi novel, I can tell you the marketing was a shock. Silly me, I thought I could just write a book and geeks like me would rush out and buy it. But what I've learned since then is that if you ask any first-time author, especially one that goes through the arduous process of being self-published, they'll all tell you that the hardest part is the marketing. The book is everything I'd hoped it would be. It's not just a vision of a possible future. It sets up the foundation for a larger story, an entire universe filled with possibilities. As I was writing Threshold Revelation, dozens of other ideas for books came out of this universe that I've created. Unfortunately, like I said, I've discovered that marketing fiction is nothing like marketing cars or in-home care or laser eye surgery. And honestly, I don't want to spend my time marketing. I want to create. That's the real dream. That's the dream that I've been afraid to admit all these years, not just to write stories, but to write stories and see them come alive on screen. I want to make movies. And, in the future, I want to see them come to life in fully immersive virtual environments like you'll find in Threshold. That's my plug. So I want to write books and stories and make movies that inspire others the way that I've been inspired. And this is a terrifying thing to admit publicly, but there it is. Dreams don't have an expiration date, and it's never too late to chase them. So instead of marketing my book, I'm going to continue to create both stories and videos. Threshold Revelation, I'm going to release right here on this blog, one chapter at a time. You'll see other Threshold stories in future books. I'm currently on chapter 10 of Emancipation, Threshold Emancipation, the second book in the Threshold series. But I'm going to write these things, and I'm also going to create videos. You'll see on my social channels now, I'm producing little segments of short stories, and I'm going to release them every week. But as we go along, as I get better with the technology and my skills as a digital creator increase, eventually I will be creating full-length movies and putting them on my YouTube channel. And that's the dream. I'm going to make movies. So follow my journey, see the vision, create new visions of your own, and let me know if I inspire you. If anything that you read or see or what have you inspires you, let me know, because that is the joy right there. If I can inspire somebody else the way that I've been inspired, that's what I want to hear. Oh yeah, due diligence. I am a marketer after all. So I must tell you to go to Amazon and buy the book, Threshold Book 1, Revelation by Denver Marshall Lane. And unfortunately, with Amazon search engine, because it's just not popular yet, you have to put in every last one of those words in order for the book to show up. So it's Threshold Book 1, Revelation by Denver Marshall Lane. I am going to put a link here, but if you're seeing this on a social channel that cuts out links or what have you, you got to put in every word into Amazon to find the book. If you've got a Kindle device, I don't know if they still make a Kindle device. I have the app on my phone, but if you got the app or you got the device, the book's only 99 cents. So you can see as I release it here, chapter by chapter, or you can buy it and read ahead, and that'd be cool too. Cause I'm not against selling a book. I'm just not going to focus on that. I appreciate you listening. Dare to dream. I'll see you next time.